So first, thank you so much for joining us today. To me, this is such an interesting topic. So Glenn, can you tell us why you chose to work with Dialpad and how are you kind of here sitting with us in this booth at T-Mobile?
All right, so first off, great to be here at the T-Mobile booth at NRF. I am wearing cowboy boots. I've been wearing these cowboy boots from CES and then coming in here into the NRF Big Show. So it's good to see everybody. We're working with Dialpad, T-Mobile. I would say first, you got to have that foundation in place, a solid kind of network, Wi-Fi connectivity. T-Mobile's been a great partner with us in that, with broadband in rural America. We've got over 2,400 Tractor Supply stores in the local communities we live and serve. And Dialpad is enabling us with voice technology that helps connect our customers in the local communities we live and serve with our store team members.
And Rupi, we're hearing a ton about, all of us just came off of CES, so we're fully caffeinated to be here. But Rupi, I think voice is one of the biggest areas of focus at CES.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what was talked about at voice and how that kind of relates to T-Mobile and to Tractor?
Sure. So I think with voice applications today, whether you're on a push-to-talk device, a Zebra device, your mobile device, a Honeywell device, it's critical to give that tool to the employee. So remember the days you called the large box retailer and nobody answered the call, right? And then they transfer the call and you were on hold again?
No, that never happened.
Right? That would never happen. Now, technology has evolved so much and retailers understand the importance of their team members to make sure they're enabled with solutions to serve their customers and clients. So when we started work with Tractor Supply, we introduced a new solution for them. They use Honeywell devices, and they enable their team members to have the greatest and latest tools in their hands to deliver the extraordinary service to their customers in the rural American communities. So with Dialpad, each member of the team is able to answer a call.
Just to kind of add on, I mean, we want to kind of reduce the number of devices that a store team member is having to carry. And so by consolidating just the number of devices, they're able to, with the single device, be able to do point of sale. They can transact anywhere on the side lot, garden center, in the store. They've got a number of applications where they can get insights, product information, information to help, assist customer. And that's all powered through generative AI. Like we're working with OpenAI and we've embedded within the same device the ability for our team members to quickly kind of access information and provide legendary service for our customers.
So Michelle, it seems to me that it's more than just customer service. It's also enabling the employee to potentially could even reduce turnover.
Absolutely. So, when we started working with Glenn and the rest of the folks at Tractor Supply, they were like many retailers looking at how to modernize their store communications, right? A disparate, lots of tech debt, right, around all those sorts of things, and wanted to have a single platform for all of their voice calls, both for, store to store, store back to the corporate, and of course, serving, their customers. And so what started with really a modernization, to Glenn's point, right, they've driven so much change into their stores for their team members to make sure that rather than having multiple devices and different ways to come in, you would have a single Honeywell device and be able to have all those applications run on that. So as we started working with them, what we understood was there's value in the conversations that they're having with their customers. So think of a typical Tractor Supply. It's not unusual, right, in a rural community. It might be 20 minutes away. And so it's often that those customers are calling in to find out, hey, do you have X, Y, and Z brand, right? Is it Chick Days yet? All those sorts of things. So what Tractor learned with time was it wasn't just about modernizing the environment, but it was also realizing that every conversation with customers counts, and how can we start to get the intel around those conversations?
Well, and I would just add on, I mean, these are a lifeline for these local communities. Especially during times of great need. I look back at Hurricane Helene, Hurricane Milton, where our customers needed access to generators, gas cans, tarps, other essential supplies to kind of take care of the community. And so being able to, we worked with T-Mobile. We had Colt trucks in parking lots of our Asheville store and a number of other kind of stores that were impacted. We provided, communications, Wi-Fi, charging stations, and ensuring also just connectivity with the store. Customers were calling in, and those are really important calls. We needed to make sure that we could, take care of our neighbors. I mean, that these are the local communities we live in.
And Rupi, as you start to think about this in a pharmacy, right, where you've got kind of literally, this could make a big difference, especially in an environment like Glenn talked about, but you're also a recovering retailer. So can you tell us, how would you think about utilizing this in a store? How does this change the customer journey? And what's different now?
So like you said, in a retail store or inside of a pharmacy, as you take a call, those conversations have AI built into them. And so a few things can happen. The AI application is listening and taking notes. So the next time somebody calls, if a retailer is out of stock, they can suggest something based on everything that is in inventory at that time. Even in a pharmacy, if they know it's flu season, they're out of things, they can maybe even take that data quickly and push it to place an order, right? So applications are really changing. But I would say one thing that's critical to make all of this work is the infrastructure in your retail location. If you are adding on more and more volume, you need to make sure that you have the connectivity there, the bandwidth is there, and the speed is there. As we are all on the AI journey, adding on more layers of tech is great, but communicating inside the organization what the tech needs to deliver for the ROI, and then making sure it works with the resiliency. So as Glenn mentioned with the hurricane, since then, we even have partnered with Starlink, where we have over 500 satellites, close to 650 maybe, in space. So you could say it's cell coverage on wheels, but in the sky. So in those dark, stormy days when the towers are down, members of the team that are still, the store is connected with Starlink or your phone is connected with T-Mobile, you're able to communicate. And I think that's so vital to these rural communities that we serve.
Well, and the reality is, I think by having that architecture and just the resiliency with the network, the capacity, the ability to scale, you're getting a higher availability solution kind of end to end. So, the customer experience improves kind of the customer experience as they're trying to call in and get support.
100%.
And then I think you think of, to layer onto that, right, with the AI capabilities within Dialpad, it's transcribing all those calls. And so think about after you're serving those customers, you're able to go in and do a query and find out how many hits were around that, right? So as you prepare for the next hurricane, how do you make sure just really simply, right, where all those things go together? So while, it improves that store communication, it also starts to give everybody within implementation, support, all of those sorts of things, fulfillment, marketing, merchandising, ideas of what might need to be in stores when you're in hurricane season, right? You might start to look and saying in certain parts of the country, there's a brand preference to A versus a brand preference to B. And you wouldn't know that if you weren't able to go in and start to query different things to find out what is the sorts of conversations and calls and queries that are coming into stores.
So Glenn, have you seen in stores where you have Dialpad an improvement in net promoter scores or how you measure the stores? And how do the store managers feel about having that kind of technology and what it allows them to do that they couldn't do before?
So we do not have a corporate headquarters. We have a store support center. So we spend a lot of time in stores. We visit stores. We work in stores.
Glenn will call me. He is in stores all the time. And if you think about his role, he'll be like, I'm going to, this is amazing though, truly folks. He'll be going to check to make sure that the prices online match the prices in store. That's the level of detail that Glenn gets into. It is at a completely different level, but I think a lot of it is the tech stack because you don't have to worry about that. You're making sure that the execution is working.
That's right. I mean, like prior to the holiday season, we were out in stores doing that just to make sure all the master data was correct, things that were needed to be flagged on, like BOPIS picked up, like everything was set. So, we spend a lot of time in stores. We get feedback from store team members. I mean, to answer your question, some of the things they like, we reduce the number of devices. So we're able to eliminate a number of like phones and kind of batteries and charging and just consolidate it all to a single, the single mobile device. And it's easier for them. So anyone in the store could help assist with a phone call. So it's easier for them to be able to kind of answer calls, provide service for the customer. And then we've got the ability, like there's automations that we can put in place. Now for us, the local connection is very important to us. So I don't think we would ever get to the point where we're putting kind of large IVRs and prompts and things like that. But there may be instances where, store hours or if there's questions, especially in an emergency type situation, if there's questions about generator availability, things like that as the store open and we're seeing high volumes of calls, there are automations that we could turn on that'll drive some more efficiency. But of the utmost importance is kind of the legendary experience for the customers and then support for our team members.
So Rupi, I've thought a lot about this as it can take down decision fatigue, right? Because the store associates, right, they have this technology to enable them, whether it's store hours or some of the other challenges that other associates have faced. So how in an environment, right, where customer service is really the most important, especially in Tractor Supply, how does this kind of really supercharge these associates?
So now with the data that comes in and Tractor's team members looking at the data, they can make sure they're in stock on key items. Or if a customer 4 or 5 times gave a point of view on a product, Tractor can take that information and now adjust the product. If it was missing something, it was too small, too large, and make the right decisions. And I think by store, they can really analyze their assortment. What's working in store 20 miles away might not be working in the store 50 miles away. So I think with all of this new data coming in a different way, with live conversations with our customer versus what we think is happening is very different. So Michelle, did you want to add anything?
If I could, Rupi, what I would say is that, we have the store support center as well as all of the stores with Dialpad by T-Mobile. And one of the things that we also are able to do with many of our customers is look at not just the store environments and corporate environments, but also their contact center. So think of all the things we've just talked about, how supporting your customer and your team at the actual stores and making sure you can grab information you've never gotten before. I often talk about this, which is when we think of AI and we think of all the data sets that we're already being able to grab and garner from that, the one we haven't been able to really yet is voice. And with Dialpad doing that live transition, you're able to get that all of the time. And so what's important about that is think about when you've got right now, if, we're all at the end of, speaking of, at CSATs, if I call in to customer service and I have acceptable kind of experience, I don't usually take that survey at the end of it. Most people don't. In fact, less than 4% of people take those end of calls. And it's almost exclusively the memory makers. I had an outstanding experience or I had a terrible experience. So then, as many of you know, what happens is the contact center world, you have people that physically have to go and grab recorded calls and listen to those and score those. So you're taking CSAT from very few calls, and then you are doing QA on even fewer calls. What Dialpad will do, because it is constantly doing that transcription, is in real time, A, it can help your contact center agent give better customer and information, but B, in real time, it can actually start to judge sentiment, and the manager can be aware and warn when there's some sort of a problem. So if I were to say, I want to speak to a manager, boom. Not only does it alert the manager that they've said, I want to talk to a manager, it brings up that transcription so that manager can see all that happened and decide maybe they want to just IM that person and say, hey, you may want to offer this, or maybe they need to hop on the call and do that. So all of a sudden, all of those things that used to be very heavy on the humans, and there was much more time doing the QA than actually coaching around the QA. With that Dialpad portfolio, you no longer have to do those things. The system does all those things for you.
So Glenn, as somebody who has in a Manhattan apartment way too many animals per square foot, so we have 2 guinea pigs, and so we literally, when we got them, right, they were like babies, and we didn't know anything about guinea pigs. And so I actually had my daughter call into Tractor Supply, you cannot make this up, on the phone for 45 minutes. And the person just really wanted to make sure that she was educated and she knew. I bring that up because it's probably some of the best customer service we've ever seen. So with DialPad, does it enable the associates to spend more time in certain areas and less time on more, let's say, maintenance?
Yeah, so I mean, we hire our customers. So, our customers have land, they have animals, they live a lifestyle. We call it life out here. And, they're our neighbors in our local communities. And so when you're calling in and you need assistance, with something, you're our neighbor, and we're going to try to do everything we can to, provide legendary service for you. And, in terms of driving more efficiency and just rapid access to knowledge, expertise, insights, we rolled out with OpenAI chain-wide over 52,000 team members are enabled with AI. And so they have instant access, through voice or through chat, product information, product recommendations, sales information. We've taken structured and unstructured data and made that accessible, all in the spirit of like quickly getting that expertise and assistance of the team members trying to help a customer. Product inventory information, localized inventory. We want to make sure we take care of that customer.
So Rupi, we have, I've gotten the last question warning. So if we've now enabled our associates with AI, if we now have DialPad to really kind of remove a lot of friction, what's next for T-Mobile customers?
Well, I think what's next for T-Mobile customers is being able to communicate together, no chat, AI bots, right? Because we freed them up from other work, and they can actually provide the legendary service that Tractor Supply is known for. I think years ago, customer service kind of went like this, and now customer service is going back up. And so brand loyalty is so important. And with these solutions, with AI, working with OpenAI that one is doing, and also DialPad solution, you're enabling your associates to bring back those loyal customers that you might have lost and actually keep them.
Great. So everyone, please put your hands together for this amazing panel.